Funny. We're gonna start in a couple minutes, or a minute or two. There's some cool ones that apply for that competition. Everybody dresses up. It's kind of like a extended Halloween.
That is you watch the videos of that, it's really fun.
It is. People had a good time with it.
Yeah.
But
Some are dead serious and others are just having fun.
It's sad when the dead serious ones, like that one, just fail. And you're like, because I know, I mean, I probably would have been one of those people like, oh, it should have worked. Like, how many times do you get to test that out? You can't have like your boat with like a long, takeoff strip and all that kind of stuff.
It's your one and only shot.
Yeah. Not the engineering design model, that's for sure, right, kids? Make it good. Okay. All right.
Throw it off.
Throw it off the cliff. Ben is not here. Is there anybody else missing?
Ben.
Ben is here! Hello. All right. Anybody else? Everybody's eating. Everybody is. Yep. You are part of everyone. We've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. There must be somebody missing, and you just haven't spoken up. Jack, come now. Jack, did you guys get to see the publication? The video that the communications? Huh?
Yeah, but you only mentioned that you and Jack were in it. I was just like, most of us are engineering scholars.
Oh, how many people were in engineering scholars? Oh, wow. Okay.
But that email only goes out to green engineering scholars.
No.
There's 2
The
fewer.
lines have been drawn.
Well, no, I'm just saying so it's 5
Cool engineering.
It's on.
rather than 7. I wasn't saying that we were better. I was just saying that email doesn't go out to everyone.
All right, so how many people saw that video? Okay, did you like it?
Yeah,
It was
it's
pretty
really
good. It's very legit. Yeah. And alumni, people that give us money, all kinds of fun stuff. So basically, the word is starting to spread. We're kind of officially starting now. So today, thank you for attending. Hopefully we get Jack here. We'll see if we can have the full bunch for you. But we have our 2 teachers in the back. We've got Steve and John. Steve to the left, John to the right. And we've got our 12 engineering students that were in pairs of 2. So we've got 6 teams that competed. Today we've got a representative from 4-H, okay, Bob Grubian. How do you say your last?
Oh, no, Horton. Like the donut guy.
Okay, Bob Horton. Okay, so he's going to talk to us a little bit about some future application of your work and what maybe we need to do in order to finish out strong, okay? So there's going to be some things that we need to discuss. We're going to have him present to us, get us a good feeling of what we're being asked and what the future prospects are. So today's class, at the end, when he gets done, we need to talk a little bit about tomorrow and the showcase, if you can make it. I know there's been at least one person that told me they couldn't. I think we're going to be going on at 5:30, right at the very beginning. So we might be like a little bit easier time schedule. You might be able to leave afterwards. So we'll see what we need to do. So we'll talk a little bit at the end. We need to line up rides. Don't leave once Bob's done presenting. And then for the future class periods, we will be bringing materials. I have at least one more bigwig coming in to see this. Your name's getting out there. So I'll let you know specifically, but you'll probably want to dress nice. Like don't dress like Grant right now.
Oh.
Like shave, all those kind of fun things.
But it's
Oh,
November.
man.
No, this is the month for blowing beers with Nick.
That's right.
Solidarity thing. Yeah.
Hi Jane, welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you? Yeah, sure, please. Okay, well, Jane, I hate to throw you straight into the frying pan, but maybe Bob will save it now. I'm just going to turn it over to you guys, and they're going to make a presentation.
Well, greetings. I'm Dr. Bob Horton. I'm a professor over in College of Agriculture. I'm in the 4-H unit. My specialty is science education. One of the things that I've done over my career is in the area of curriculum development, a lot of curriculum materials for the after-school market, so mom and dad kinds of educators, if you can imagine that, OSU students working in some of our after-school sites. I do a lot of classroom teacher stuff, so I've got a lot of time in trying to take those difficult science concepts, engineering concepts, abstract things, and putting them in a form where a kid can kind of get their head around it. And all of you, I'm sure with the kind of research here that you've been doing in engineering, there's always fascinating things, whether it's medical applications, whether it's physical applications, chemistry, whatever. It's what is it, what's that sweet spot that perhaps we can take, put it into that engineering design process, and have kids go through it. Now y'all, from what I gather, and I think you're on the right track, this idea of engaging kids in that engineering design process. They may or may not memorize it, but I really believe, and it depends which engineering design process you choose, there's probably about 15 distinctive processes that are out there. Science museums have their own. I understand this class has theirs too, but the good ones are intuitive. The good ones just make sense as they're doing it, and you don't have to keep drilling it into their heads. The other thing is the facilitators, the mom and dad kinds of facilitators, the non-engineering student facilitators. They're going to get the activity, and they're going to get down to business, because in those after-school non-formal settings, we want to have fun. Why 4-H? This 4-H adventure that we're on, we want to be the client. We're intrigued by what you've done. We're intrigued by what the after-school program that you've been in right now. We want to be able to repurpose that activity so that we can engage our people across the whole state of Ohio, if you will. Give you a quick run through. For those who don't know what is 4-H, 4-H began as Boys and Girls Agricultural Clubs led by volunteers and emphasized hands-on learning. 1912, the applied innovation and best practices through youth. This idea of pre-germinated seed corn, and there's Marius Melgren. His idea was, I'd like to outdo my dad. There was his challenge. He wanted to outdo his dad. He had an acre. His dad said, I'll give you an acre. Good luck with it. Through the land-grant university system, which 4-H is a part of, every land-grant university across the United States has a 4-H organization attached to it. So 4-H is the official youth organization of the land-grant university system. We're part of Extension. So we're in every county. We're in every state. Great program. His 4-H club leader was tied into the university, and the university says, hey, we've got these pre-germinated seed corns. We'd like you to be able to try it. So, and the challenge has always been, you take an adult, you got a farmer and a farm, and they've been doing it the same old way. Maybe we can't change dad, but we can sure try to change the child's practice. Well, Marius, there he is sitting on the corn. His dad probably created a pile maybe a fifth of his size, and of course he was successful. And he actually went on, was a dean of the University of North Carolina. Boy, was very successful, certainly no slouch, but it was that nurturing, that relationship. You all see it when you're there with kids. Number one, kids want to feel like they're part of something cool, whether it's good or bad. Something cool could be mischief, but something also cool is the positive things that you're doing. What motivates them when somebody like yourself, like your age, is with a teenager, for example, or a middle schooler, they're going to look up to you, you come in like an instant role model. That's what happens in situations like 4-H, in situations you're in. That's a good thing. That's the other agenda. That's that hidden agenda that we profess in that whole youth development movement. So there's Marius. Maybe someday we'll see one of our kids sitting on a pile of something that they were really good at. 4-H Facts, so as I said before, it's the official youth organization of the Ohio State University and the land-grant university system, and it's administered by the Cooperative Extension Service. 300,000 members in Ohio 4-H, nationwide 6 million. Here's, I want to get into the meat of the presentation. The meat of the presentation is we're going to help you. We want you to think about how to repurpose the challenge that you did into the 4-H format, if you will, our challenge format. Now what's interesting is these challenges that you've been involved in, it's a relatively new phenomenon. We're just beginning to see now across land grants, a lot of colleges of education are beginning to look at this way of communicating engineering, that E that's in STEM, communicating those practices, that design process. And they're easy to facilitate. We've been looking at a couple of different models. If you will, This is sort of a process where we're all learning. We're trying to get our hands around a really decent model that we think is going to work. We're very interested in partnering with you to get at some activities that are working, things that are really hitting the sweet spot. Because y'all remember, after school, it's got to be fun. These kids want to be, they want to be a part of something, but they don't want it to be like school. And I think from what the conversations that we had, you were able to accomplish that. What I did last year, created a National Youth Science Day experiment for 4-H, and it was the EcoBot Challenge. The EcoBot Challenge was, much like what you were doing, here's a problem, here's some pieces and parts, try to find a solution. Really simple. One of the things that we'd like you to put together for us, the client, would be a video. Video presentation. And I want you to think about a video presentation as the extension of yourself. Since you're not there, what things might you tell the facilitator, the mom and dad facilitator, the college student facilitator, that might help them, give them a little bit of background, give them some talking points, give them a narrative, build up that excitement for the project. It's also a tool that we use for orienting the students. So it's a twofer, if you will. It works both ways. Now, you know people's attention spans. They're not going to sit and watch a 3-minute commercial. So you got to be able to be succinct. And I'm going to present to you, this is one that it's up on YouTube. I've posted it on Buckeye Box. This is also been posted, so you don't have to take a whole lot of notes. But I want you to watch this thing, then we'll process it real quick. Remember, this is last year's National Youth Science Day experiment.
Hi, my name is Dempsey, and I'm here to tell you about the 4-H Bristlebot Toxic Spot Environmental Cleanup Challenge. But first, let me show you how to build a bristlebot. First, you'll need a toothbrush with bristles that slant diagonally. Cut off the head of the toothbrush with clippers. You'll also need a small battery and a vibrating motor for my cell phone. Take a piece of foam tape and stick it onto the toothbrush's head. Press the tape against a firm surface so the tape stays sticky. For best results, make sure the insulation on each wire is stripped back to 1/2 centimeters. Place the motor on the back end of the toothbrush and attach the battery to the front. Connect the wires to make it work. Put a piece of foam tape on top to hold it all together. And there you have it, a bristlebot. Oh no, a toxic spill! This beautiful beach has been ruined by the ugly puddles of oil. But my bristlebot will help me clean it all up. And that way no humans will be exposed to the toxins. You can see on this challenge map that there is an oil spill. The lines represent the containment area. My bristlebot has to work inside these lines so as to prevent the oil spill from continuing any further. Bristlebots do one thing really well. They move forward very quickly. By using control surfaces, I can program my robot to move back and forth over the toxic spill while staying in the containment area. By controlling its movement in this way, it goes where I need it to go. So I asked, how can I build control surfaces that will guide the movement of my bristlebot? I've been experimenting with different materials to see how my bristlebot moves. I've tried straws and cardstock walls and cups. I learned a lot about how the bristlebot moves and turns. Then I imagined a design using straws that might help to control the bristlebot within the containment area. I made a plan using straws. This should work great. So I created my design and tested it. The test did not go so well. I thought back to my experiments with the other materials, and I thought I might add some rounded corners using cups. I improved my plan by redesigning, adding cups where I had sharp corners. My new design works great. My friend has also finished his design. It looks different than mine, but it still works. We decided to connect our challenge points. So I asked, can 2 bristlebots clean better than 1? What about 3, 6? I can imagine, plan, create, and improve another design. Take that, toxic spills! You're no match for this bristlebot.
So that was Dempsey, our little 4-H'er from Upper Arlington. She did a really nice job for us.
Hi,
Nope, don't
my
start
name is
again, Dempsey.
Dempsey, and I'm here to tell you about the 4-H bristle bot.
Bob, would you like the light on or off?
I can turn back.
Okay, great.
Good. So, thoughts about Dempsey? Thoughts about that video that you just saw? What ideas did you get from it? What was the problem that she was trying to say?
How to clean up a toxic spill,
Okay.
oil spill, using a bristle bot.
And was it a real spill? No. So it's just kind of a pretend thing. Our kids, students, capable of pretending. Pretend was. Very good.
I think our students did quite a bit of that as well, so.
Is that a valuable skill, pretending? Yeah. You think a third grader, 3 years earlier, they probably still believed in Santa Claus. So you know, that's where their minds are at and how much of that play value they still have. Other things about what Dempsey was saying. Anybody catch something?
She gave a clear design process.
Yes. Perhaps different than what you were using, but maybe similar in some ways. Okay. Do you think the mission was clear? Create something that's going to solve this problem. Actually, they wanted a robotics challenge, and the idea was you had to crunch it down to about a 50-minute lesson and keep it cheap, so everybody get their hands on it. They worked in teams of 2. And if you listen to some of her language, they were talking about command structure, so the straws were, in a sense, tell the robot where it needed to go. What was a success? Does anybody think, was this a successful project? Do you think people got excited about it? You bet, actually, with Dempsey as the talent, if you will, and she was very youthful and brought that kind of energy to it, she actually helped sell the program to people who have perhaps some anxiety about doing engineering challenges. That she just, not that she dummied it down, just made a promise, let's take this one out. It was really, a great sell job. In fact, our national organization took that video and redid it with a man's voice, very, this is how it should be, and da-da-da-da-da. And probably 9 times out of 10 people went back to the Dempsey video to help share it. One of the interesting things that also go on, people in our program, particularly our OSU students who work in our after-school programs, we've got a great after-school program that we partner with up in Worthington, it's a care after-school program. And literally, as the students are going from OSU up to the program up there, they're kind of searching the web for ideas on their little smartphones as they're driving. And many of them would watch the video and would kind of get the idea. So these are powerful tools. My point is they're powerful tools, and I'm providing this as a suggestion for how we would like to see that format. Yes?
You don't mean to insinuate that college students procrastinate?
I think it's probably just plain old human nature.
So you mean everyone procrastinates?
It didn't even matter if we were paying them $13 an hour. Good point.
There you go.
So I present this as an outline, if you will, for coming up with your own video. I invite you to be creative, be energetic. You can go into the high schools, get your little brothers and sisters, whatever, get some fun talent, and make these things so that they want to do yours instead of yours or yours. Kind of set that up as your goal. The other part is, as a client, we're looking for a facilitator's guide. Now you got to appreciate this as a science educator, or as a professor. We all got to publish. Out the door you go. We got that down. And in this particular case, for the EcoBot challenge, if you go online and you search EcoBot challenge, you will find online a 32-page. I wrote it. 32-page manual for doing what Dempsey just showed you. Can you imagine that? But those were the requirements of the national program at USDA. We need a 32-page program, and it laid out the engineering design process, say this, do this. And what happened is, and you'll run into this as you may go into the field of that education. And you'll run into this where people are very insecure about a single sheet set of instructions. They're very insecure about a video that takes about 3 minutes for you to show it that basically says this is how it should be done. So I cranked that out, and everybody basically looked at it, thumbed through it, tossed it out, and showed the video, and they got it, and it worked. The other point about the video, and Howard, you raised that point. Do you show them the solution? Do you see a strength or a problem, perhaps, folks? When Dempsey showed you how she placed her cups and how she placed her straws, I mean, did she give the answer away? Now, we could debate that, and to really appreciate the answer, you'd have to watch some of the other videos that I had of kids doing this, whether they're elementary, middle school, or high school. And I can confidently say that although there was a section of the population of students would mimic almost precisely what Dempsey had presented up there, by and large, the majority of kids were challenged, they challenged themselves to do something totally different. In fact, they would even throw out that particular model. They would strip down their little EcoBot and they would re-engineer it. Guys in the engineering minds. They would take cups and they would take that little vibrator motor which came out of a cell phone, they'd stick it on cups and they'd modify the base of the cups, and it gave them a greater sweeping radius. I mean, we loved it. Was there hands up?
Oh, sorry. I was going to say an alternative, maybe it's like showing a prototype that kind of fails, then having them like, now you need to fix this problem,
Yes.
create a solution that works.
That's excellent. That's excellent. And it's going to be really on a personal basis. You decide what the best way is to motivate, to excite, to get those kids doing what you'd like. I present here, and I posted this up on a Buckeye Box. This is a great little challenge. This is a Crow Creativity Challenge. So it gets into the life sciences, and it's basically, here's some pieces and parts. Can you solve a problem as creatively as a crow? And it talks about how crows are really clever. Really clever little avian species, and they're capable of doing some things, human-like things. And there was an experiment that was done where crows were able to solve this problem, and so the challenge is with these pieces and parts, can a child do it? Can a student do that as part of a simple engineering challenge? So it's a little two-pager, and it actually works. It's a very, very nice format. Yes?
You have me intrigued.
Yes?
What is the problem?
Well, the problem is, can you solve the problem in a way that's different than a crow? The crows creatively were able to use tools to gather some feed, and this idea of use of tools. And so, in a way, they're mimicking the crow, if you will, but you're doing it in your own way, coming up with your own, quote, human solution. Yes?
Yeah, I think I've actually seen a video of the crow figuring out the problem. So they've got feed way back in this cylinder,
Yes.
and they've got available to them like a string, which is tied in a knot to something. So they have to like undo the knot and then use the string. The crow made it into a loop and used the loop to get it out.
That's
so
cool. Yeah,
So
yeah, it really is. And
that's really neat. You should look it up.
Thank you for that. That's nice. If I had more time, I would have shown you the video. So that's a great one. But I provide this, really, ladies and gentlemen, I provide this one as the format. I think it's a very useful format. It limits us to 2 pages, and I know you're certainly able, and I'm sure willing to create more and write more, but our challenge as educational design specialists is to really minimize this thing. So once again, we don't want to scare off the moms and dads and the college students and all that. We're going to be facilitating this stuff. So let's talk about the facilitator guide's outline. Here's an armada of drones sweeping a field, dropping seeds. And we want to start with a background and a situation statement. So a fairly concise situation statement with background. So a swarm of drones need to be deployed in a deforested area, spreading seeds to bridge the ecological gaps within the natural fabric. That sounds like a lot of jargon, and it really is. but I present that maybe as a way not to write. You want to keep this more in maybe a conversational style or something that will appeal to the masses. But be that as it may, the drones will be better equipped to mitigate the deforested context and do what natural processes cannot, just rapidly reducing plant material. So there's the problem. We want to be able to somehow manipulate these drones to do what we want. Now, in this case, we're taking some existing technology, just like with the EcoBots, existing technology, and modifying it to do what we want to do. This is a fairly interesting little device. It actually responds to voice commands. It goes where you want to go, and it keeps a distance, a range, if you will, based on the level of your voice. And some smart people out in California. Is there a rival engineering institution out in California? I will go unnamed. But anyway, so there's the challenge. Students will assemble an eco-drone, engineer it with the capacity to carry and release the seed in a desired location. Using voice commands, each student will learn to navigate their eco-drone. So there's a little bit of learning curve, there's a little bit of engineering. How would it carry the seed? How much of the seed can it carry? How would it release it? And the action could be completed by a single drone or by a whole swarm of individually controlled drones, just like the picture that we saw. List of materials. So we would certainly present that. And again, this is a suggested outline that I would like to see. The ideas for instructions, ideas to get them started. So some kind of thoughts, some big thoughts, some teasers. If there's materials that need to be prepared, if it's a device that you need to modify, or if it's just a stack of pieces and parts, I think you need to articulate that. What's the team size? They're going to do it in teams of 2, teams of 5. Those kinds of numbers certainly help as well. The things to say and do, and also the coaching. I think the most important thing, and it's this idea of the guide on the side. So where is the adult in the room while the students are doing this? I would hope that all of you, as you were engaging students in that after-school program, that you were the coach, you were the cheerleader, you were motivating, giving them an idea. We want to set these kids up for success, not failure. And in that after-school environment, that's really important because they'll come back for more. If they felt good about it, they're going to come back and certainly do that again. Perhaps in our conclusions, provide a real world solution to the problem. So where is this being solved? How is it being solved? I think we had a great application in terms of the water pump. It's exciting to know that things are being used in the real world. Processing questions, these are very important. What worked well, what was learned, and what to try again. These are questions, these are guiding questions that perhaps the adult can use at the end to process, or as students are wrapping up, because you know some students. You've got to know young students by now. Some are higher functioning, they get really moving on something, they're done first. How are you going to challenge them while the rest of the class, quote, is kind of catching up? You have some other students that perhaps are way behind. You're trying to use some questions to maybe help them along. Those are important things. Even though they may seem trivial to you, it just gets people thinking about what the next steps might be. The other thing, if you would, think about career connections, even one career. What's a field of study? Who's doing these kinds of engineering endeavors for your particular problem? Where would I find them? Is it, do I go to a land grant and study that? Is it a career down the road? Do I have to go to a particular employer and look for jobs like this? So career connections are those next steps. Really important for our middle school kids because that's where they begin thinking about those career connections. So there's the outline. And that's it. Questions? Yes?
So Bob, what I wanted to do was to show the students something that they're actually going to be paid for their services. And what they're going to be paid with
Oh man, look at that.
are these. They're actually better than the ones you got because you have Make It Good and on the back. So
Nice.
we have these for each of the students tomorrow. Hopefully you're all going to be there. Maybe if you couldn't, but so basically for your services and putting this together, 4-H is paying for these because I don't have any money for these. So anyway, so we're getting the reward up front, but you gotta do the work to create the design challenges. So
He's
they're-
gonna get stuck with it
Or I get stuck with the bill. Yeah, right now, it's out of my money to take students to Honduras, so I can't take them to Honduras if I don't get that money back, so. Anyway.
Other questions? Are you up for the challenge? This is kind of our little curriculum challenge, if you will. Yes?
So just to recap, you want us to create a video of one of the design challenges you've already done
That's correct.
to, for facilitators so that they can deliver the design challenge.
Yes. And perhaps even for the audience and students that they might watch it to get a better idea.
Okay.
So
it's kind of-
students watched Dempsey too.
Yeah.
So if you can kill two birds with one stone,
Yeah.
great. Sometimes that's very hard. You know, two very different audiences.
It doesn't have to be a video, you can do a PowerPoint presentation, you can narrate over that, it's your call. The Dempsey one was easy because she was,
Now, when we did Eco-Bot Day at the 4-H Center, did you show, I missed the beginning.
Yes.
Did students see that video?
yes,
And you know what, in spite of being shown that solution, boy, they did things, we had solutions all over the map for that. So they approached it a lot of different ways.
yeah, those at Reynoldsburg STEM School, they're really nice.
Yeah, I think it does depend on your particular problem, whether you want to show the solution, not show a solution, or that was a great idea, show a failed solution, and let them go.
Yeah, don't try this, kids. Yes.
Also another question, sometimes an engineering design challenge is difficult because of the constraint in
Yes.
materials, and I noticed that nobody didn't mention anything about that, so is that up to the facilitators to kind of like take it upon their own to create constraints as far as materials goes, or do you guys prefer that the way we delivered it with the constraints that we go, do you guys want all of that?
I think you need to give us your best guess in terms of materials. Here's the pieces and parts. Now, obviously, if it's a piece of equipment, our challenge was, one, where do you get the vibrating motors? Where do I find that particular Oral-B toothbrush? We provided kits for that, but you could also go down to the CVS pharmacy, you could get the toothbrush cut off the heads, you could go online, you could find the motors. So some of those things, we solved the problem because we had a kit, but in other challenges, you may not have that opportunity. So if you can go to Lowe's, for example, and do all your shopping, or Lowe's,
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the materials
Yep.
we use are pretty everyday materials and stuff.
perfect. Yep.
So, and I'm not sure I can speak for a 4-H facilitator, but I know when I've facilitated groups of kids and doing things and I'm looking through like which one do I want to do, it's the one that they say, oh, it tells me what I need, and if you guys have a test apparatus that has to be built, okay, I can go to the store, I can get these things, I can put it together in 30 minutes, and we're going to be up and running. You know, something that really looks pretty plug and play. And so I think some of you had great test apparatus, is that a word? Anyway, but in some cases, it took a lot of duct tape and, you know, and maybe a lot of time and use some things that maybe they wouldn't have. So you may have a challenge to move your test apparatus to something that is more easily created by someone just with everyday materials.
Good point. Good questions. Other questions? Does it sound doable? In terms of deadlines, when we got until the end of the day?
Tomorrow.
You're going to go through all that.
Yes, we'll try and start. We've got about 3 class periods left. We've got, next week we've got 2 class periods. I think after the week after that we've got 1, and then Thanksgiving, and then 1 class period, which has been requested for another purpose. We'll see. All right.
And I will add that your name's going to be on this. This will be a published piece. We'll peer review them, we'll test them, and we're going to construct. We're in the midst of putting together a website so folks can access this stuff.
You will be famous.
Yeah, famous. Yeah. First publication. Yes.
A lot of us are working on projects on the cellular molecular level, and so to help us explain things, we used animations online, like from, I don't know, for example, the National Institute of Health, from YouTube videos, and we can screenshot of those and use those to explain the students, you know, cancer metastasis or something like that, while we were doing a voiceover of that. And then we just cited it at the end Is that something that we can do, or will we have some sort of like issue with using other people's material?
No, as long as we cite it, if it's public domain, that's very good. Yep, great idea. And those are, when you're at the molecular level, those are really tough. But it sounds like you might have a good solution for that. And don't be afraid to use, sometimes you just use metaphor or some modeling to get kids up and they're going to pretend they're a molecular configuration. Sometimes you can get your head around those big concepts in a way where it's more drama and theatrics. That helps the learning curve very much. Yes?
Will the students be able to alter or change the materials that they make later on, once they submit them?
Jane, how do you want to address that? Is that
Sure, if
I
it's
mean-
an improvement in the
absolutely?
materials,
Is
absolutely.
it an easy process?
Yeah.
Part of it, though, I know with asking that question, you guys are being really great partners, but the other side of it is, these are going to be materials that you want good the first time, right?
Yes.
We don't want you to go off and test run things and then for us to track down students and to see, oh, this doesn't work and we don't really know what's going on here, right?
I'm not so sure, but did you just move the due date up 2 weeks?
No, basically what I'm trying to say is, you guys are selling a product.
Yeah.
We have a client. When you give this product to the client, you have to, your name is going to be on it, OSU's name is going to be on it, TEK8's name is going to be on it, 4-H, they're our partner and they're our client and their name is going to be on it. So if you give them something, it must be ready to go.
So there's some things
Well, and I'll
that
be
you,
able to follow up, won't I?
You will, but, I mean, Roland's graduating, Ben's graduating, Molly's gonna graduate soon, Nate's gonna graduate soon,
Okay.
eventually.
Not really.
Shall we?
Randall will never graduate, so you can grab him.
I think the most important thing that you all bring, having done what I'll call an alpha test of your apparatus and the whole thing, you've done one delivery of it, you've learned a lot. And I think all of you could say, you know, if I did that again, I'd do this. But if you do this, take it upon yourselves to test it out. In other words, don't say, well, I really would make my test apparatus look like this, and I'll give some instructions on how to make it, but I never test it myself. It really can't be that. So you've got to take the time to run through it if you change your design challenge.
Bob, can you talk again about these projects and where they're going to be located and what kind of resources they're actually going to be? Like, do the facilitators have to start at, you know, in the list and start with Design Challenge 1 and go through Design Challenge 20?
No, they're, Jane, how do we envision? I'm trying to think of some other models that we've used. I think eventually there ought to be something that's searchable. But certainly, in our first go-around, we want to be able to have a landing page and be able to see that. We're going to take a little soundbite. We may take the snippet of your problem/challenge statement, post that with that, because I think that's the real sweet spot to say, here's a problem, okay, that interests me, and then here's the challenge. I've got these pieces and parts. We want to be able to do X, Y, and Z. And it's interesting, as people might peruse the webpage, they might be looking just for some key words that would help them to choose, or at least to go on then and watch the video. So that's very important.
So no one will have to do any of these projects. No one is going to be forced to use it, whether it's good material or bad.
Correct.
So you're going to have a little bit of a sales piece or a little bit of a, hey, you do want to do this project. They click on that to get the deeper level information.
Yes.
And that's when we get into things like your 2-page summary document.
Correct.
And then the video, maybe other resources like the test apparatus and different things like that.
Yep.
So is that essentially like a synopsis that would be on the, like, so here's the link and then here's the description?
Synopsis is an engineering word. Sales pitch,
Sales
marketing, you know, like,
Thumbnail description.
yeah. Think of it in terms of, you guys like your designs because you did them. And I like them because you're kind of like my kids or something like that. I don't know. But
Don't call
some
them
of the babies are ugly or something. I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. But no one has to do your project. But they can if they want to, and they can if you get them to want to. Like, can you sell your product? Can you've got clients as well.
Yep.
You've got facilitators, and they get to do what they want to do because you've given them ownership to do so, which is great. Josh, you got a question?
So you guys are cataloging these design challenges? Are you guys gonna be taking these like to schools or anything?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We've got sites all over the state that are just very anxious for these kinds of things. Sort of a new wave of partnerships for 4-H in the classroom. And it's especially at that middle school level, because we want to be able to engage those kids in that engineering design process. It's a good way of thinking as you go through the world. It's just, you're helping to organize and put problems in the right perspective, so, yep.
Lots of camps, 4-H
Okay.
camps.
Yes.
So we did these for middle school students. Is
Yes.
that, are we continuing on as that's our age group, that's who we're directing this
Stick
to?
to that target, that's.
Okay, we don't need to broaden it for
No, don't do that.
kindergartner or something. Okay.
Don't do that. And if you're a little unsure about the language, just say it as you would want to say it, and then our editors and so forth will kind of work on that, work with it. So.
But the thing they can't work on is your test apparatus, or your whole, does this thing work or does it not work? That's the engineering part of it that has really gotta be right.
I'm gonna restate what Howard's saying
I
again.
said it wrong.
No, we're in a new design phase. You made it good, now we have to make it better. Take your design,
Make the best better.
and you have to look at it and say, somebody who is gonna learn as they go has to make this. The glass box, Ben, we loved that glass box, it worked so well. The glass box is gone now. We cannot do that. I never intended it for it to work, and then we made it work, which was fun. What's some other ones? Jack. That whole ramp thing, that's too much. We gotta see if we can do that simpler. Maybe even ramps. I don't know if that would work. I like your jug a lot better. That's a lot nicer. You guys kind of know what I'm talking about, right? You know the test setups that you had and how involved they were, and you need to. Oh, we also got to get into one more point. Bob, how many design challenges are you looking for?
Many as I can get.
We're looking for at least 12, and then plus. Some of you have 2 that are worthwhile. Some of you have 1 and still need some work. So, if you have 2, we'd love to send them off and have them used. But if you must get 1 per person. So that means that you have to look at your design. You have to look at your test apparatus. How can it be improved? Remember, you're going to have clients that don't have to do your design project, no matter how cool it is. Roland, that whole stealth radar thing is sweet. It's a tough sell somewhat. Make this chamber, and then they find out later it's just a box with black construction paper. But you've got to make sure that that's like clearly known. Because radar is going to be like, oh my gosh, I can't do that.
And some of those challenges, okay, they may not appeal to the masses, but we do have STEM camps. We've got little technology groups that are meeting. And that might hit the sweet spot, because kids are in this gathering for a little more of a specific reason. So don't sell yourself short, W it down too much. There's an audience out there. If you enjoyed it, if you had a good time at it, there's an audience